move to Creatio's BFSI build, right? And of course, like with any other day in a life or scenario, where we usually start is with our beautiful home pages that are built on our Angular framework, right? And we already have started receiving a lot of positive feedback from our customers in how these new ways of presenting the data can support the day-to-day operations of any users, right? We can see how flexible they are, how actually visual they can be and represent the data. And of course, one of the ways that we actually address the NBO and NBA within Creatio is actually even through the process of searching for the customer data, right? And picking them up with our consultation panel to streamline the operations of the end users, whether they are working remotely, whether they're going to be actually working from the branches. So regardless of the fact that we have some specific, action items of the consultation panel and have a quick summary of the customer, right? What is quite important and quite critical is when accessing the profile and the customer 360 of the bank's client data, right? We can actually, on the left-hand side where we've got the profile of the record, already see that we have a specific number of next best offers already available for this customer. Right. And in this case, we can actually drill down to the NBO, right? We can see that within the 4 products, we have the highest rate, highest level of the match, right? And this is really then allowing us to quickly review the conditions of these products being issued, right? What are the benefits for the customer? And as well, start some relevant and related processes straight away within this record, right? And within this view. So definitely we for sure see that this is bringing a lot of efficiency, a lot of operational excellence to our end users that is helping them to actually perform an upsell a lot easier, right? And this data, of course, is delivered with the help of our machine learning models and AI predictions. Now, of course, we need to keep in mind that this data is also always available within the products area and product views. Right, this is where we as well can just start some of the opportunity management processes, application processes directly from the record of the customer. But let's speak a little bit about the functionality and the technology and the sense behind it. Now, first of all, definitely what I need to mention here as a vendor in CRM space, right, together with the low-code application platforms, one of the areas of the development for our AI machine learning team is also the development of how the data can be easily visualized for the end users. And this module for the MBO, what we've actually looked at, is just one of the ways that we can incorporate the simple visual access to some of the functionalities to the end users. But moving forward, and kind of going back to the area of conversation that we were before, what is the technology standing behind it? Now, in this case, we actually refer to the machine learning models functionality, right? And the ability to create different types of data prediction within Creatio. As a vendor, what we're focusing on is on actually the ability of our customers to implement their own data predictions around recommendations. And this is the exactly NBO and NBA, right? Predictive scoring, the probability of the lookup prediction or classification, right? Numeric prediction as regression, and text similarity, searching for similar data across multiple instances of the same objects. And the way that we're actually delivering these later on, as you can see, is a full drag and drop, more even point and click style of configuration, right? There's really no need to go through some extra level of development, incorporating data scientists into the operations of the bank or the BFSI organization in this case, right? And really try to somehow understand what would be the impact of these predictions. What we're actually filling in as part of the configuration is on the left-hand side by choosing the recommendation dependencies, object to recommend to, the recommended object, right? How we're actually going to be defining the recommendation dependency column. And later on, we can actually then review what is our expected accuracy, right? If we actually need to have some additional consultations being provided by the customer success management team from Creatio. And of course, links to the Academy to support and streamline the onboarding of this functionality. Now, from there, of course, as we're looking into the settings and the parameters of this model, we can see that within simple filtering conditions, we can define which records should be included into the training data set, right? So how do we actually define a successful sale and close of the product to a customer, so that later on the system can actually take the dependencies and similarities between different customer profiles, between different applications, different opportunities, and find these matches and possible matches in the upsell, right? And as you can see, all of the settings around extending the filtering criteria is reusing our filtration module, right? Delivering this consistency in how different users can use different settings across the system using the already acquired knowledge, right? And all of the related settings are actually as well delivered through more of a configuration setup even perspective, right? So moving forward, we of course can talk about advanced settings. We can talk about training of this data, right? And adding some additional nodes and really some comments across the organization. What were the change parameters? But the idea here is that the configuration of machine learning models within our no-code technology is really no-code, right? There's no development required. There's no need to go through a lengthy implementation process, right? And trying to figure out, so where did you make a mistake? How to fine tune this? You're literally working with a friendly, clean, crisp user interface that allows these designs being completed at a very fast pace. And of course, moving from here, right, the model itself is just the configuration of the prediction. But how do we actually then trigger this prediction? And the idea here is as well coming from the perspective of using the business process management engine in order to have a more agile and flexible delivery of these models. What do we mean by that is that within our BPM engine, we can actually configure very complex processes that are going to be streamlining the operations of the users. And within this model, from the settings area, and when we have the elements panel, we can actually take the prediction element, right? And in this case, we simply choose the type of the machine learning model that we want to incorporate. For example, our contact product recommendation, right? And only need to define how we're going to be predicting the data across the sections, right? Or across this machine learning model. So the idea here is that within the BPM engine, we can actually configure different types of processes that could be based on the timer basis, right? So actually be executed through a schedule. These could be the processes that are going to be executed based on some specific data signal, right? Or even by a manual start by the user themselves. And from here, of course, this model is going to be executing the prediction around the next best offer, the next best action, depending on the configuration of this model, depending on the use case. So kind of reinforcing the message that the configuration of the models, the data prediction should not be a hardcore, difficult, heavy lifting style of development configuration, and then really tying them to a very narrow set of use cases that somebody has kind of identified as desired state, right? With Creatio's technology, configuration of these models, then the reusability of these models is going to be delivered in a very fast pace, adjusted and tailored quite quickly moving forward, and then of course reused across different use cases and different user stories, right? So every time that we're moving across a stage in an opportunity or an application, perhaps we want to repredict the NBO and see if maybe now we can upsell according to some of the new data that has been received, right? So this level of flexibility and accessibility and access to the AI and ML delivers the whole mantra of no code, agility, and acceleration across all of the products that we can actually provide as a vendor. So that was a very quick, short demonstration around the AI capabilities of our products. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this quick demonstration, right? And you also agree that this is how different organizations should be using AI and machine learning models. And from here, let's probably answer some of the questions from the audience that we have. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions coming in. And I do believe that we have someone asking a few of those actually. So let's see. First of all, what are the key enablers of the next best action? Well, this is a great question. The idea here that the next best action requires a lot of planning and a lot of good data that would be actually used as a basis for the recommendation for the data prediction, right? And the idea here is that in the very beginning of your journey, when you might not have this data available straight away, so what you could do is actually start using the recommendation systems model in the state that it is, right, based on the data that you have, but then actually to fine tune it, to retrain the model and deliver a better quality of the data prediction, right? And of course, Creatio's technology is always there in order to support these processes. Let's move on to the next question. Implementing innovations such as no-code and AI for enterprise companies is quite a long-lasting process. Our company needs to change the mindset of hundreds of people. What would you recommend for faster adoption? Well, in my personal perspective, the user adoption, and this is something that we actually share across the organization as well, the user adoption is one of the key factors in any implementation of any application or any technology, right? And in order to deliver a higher rate of user adoption, first of all, you need to start with a good base, with a good kind of a core product offering, right? That is following consistent design style, that is following consistent interface, consistency in how the data is being presented. And of course, you need to deliver very fast results as phase rollouts to your users. In order to keep them engaged, right, just so that they're always eager to learn something new about the system, some new use cases, but also as you're going to be implementing these phases and these quick rollouts, you're going to start receiving feedback from the users, right? You're going to start hearing them areas that they like, areas that they perhaps are not fully satisfied with. And what you could do and should be doing really is that with low-code and no-code technologies, you would be able to quickly address that feedback, right? Let's say somebody says that this specific field should be in a different place and in a different type of data visualization on the dashboards, on the home pages, right? So quickly fine-tune those, quickly change how the data is being presented, just so that with the next rollout, right, with the next kind of delivery of the changes, they see that they have been heard. They see that these changes have actually taken place, right? And this is actually going to excite them because they're going to hear that they are heard. They're going to see that that the company listens to their feedback. They will feel valued, right? And this is exactly what you should be doing and how they should be feeling, right? And as soon as they're going to get this feeling of being valued, they're definitely going to have more eagerness to use the system, to use the product, and this will result in a happy user and higher level of user adoption. Okay, let's move on to some other questions that we might have. What is the difference between AI and machine learning tools? Is there any specific recommendation where to use one or another? AI still, okay. So the idea here is that the difference between AI and machine learning is very simple. AI basically stands for artificial intelligence, everything knows that, but this is really the definition of when a machine is performing human-like actions, right? So mimicking some of the actions that a real human, a real person would do. And machine learning is more of a human brain on steroids that really is processing largest amounts of data in a very short time, and perhaps even processing data that a human mind is not capable of even embracing, right? So trying to find similarities and trying to find trends and common signs in hundreds of millions of records, right? And this is definitely something that you cannot perform yourself. So from the kind of a positioning standpoint, again, AI is more of a mimicking of human actions, machine learning or ML more of a finding trends and common areas across different products across the data. And I believe that at this point, this would be all of the time that I would have for this quick session. Thank you all so much for your questions. Thank you for sticking with me on the NBO and NBA overview with Creatios, low code and no code technology, and hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.